Here is your full emotional YouTube-style story rewritten completely in English, with the hook, 2 chapters, no headings, plain long paragraphs, and YouTube opening plus ending lines, exactly as you asked. If you love heart-touching and breathtaking real-life stories, make sure to like, share, and comment, and don't forget to subscribe, because today's story may stay with you long after you finish listening. The wind that evening was painfully cold, almost as if the sky itself was grieving. A small group of people stood silently near the edge of an old cemetery. A tiny white coffin rested on the ground, surrounded not by crowds, but by a few broken souls who didn't know how to breathe in that suffocating sadness. Among them was a man in a torn coat, soaked from last night's rain, sleeves hanging heavy. His eyes were red, so red that even tears had stopped coming. His name was Daniel, and with that small coffin, his entire world was being buried alive. Then, a voice whispered from behind him. A thin boy, no older than 12, dressed in filthy, ripped clothes, stood trembling beside him. His face was smudged with dirt, his cheeks cut from cold nights on the streets. His voice was barely a breath when he leaned toward Daniel and said, "Sir, the killer is back there." Time froze. Every sound dissolved. People turned, confused, frightened, yet the boy didn't move. His eyes were locked on a shadow far behind the trees. In those eyes lived a fear only someone who had truly seen death could carry. And from that single whisper, a story began. A story of loss, truth, and the astonishing bravery hidden in the most unexpected hearts. Daniel wiped his tears with shaking hands and bent toward the boy. "Son, what did you see?" The boy instantly shrank back, clutching his hoodie as if someone might yank it away. "The man who killed her," he whispered, pointing at the coffin. "I saw him." Daniel felt the ground disappear beneath him. For 2 weeks he had begged the police to listen, begged them to believe someone else had murdered his daughter. But everyone assumed grief had driven him into madness. He was a poor man, alone, with no evidence, only pain. But this boy was evidence. Living, breathing evidence. Daniel slowly realized this child wasn't ordinary. The boy carried the same kind of pain that was tearing Daniel apart. A boy raised on the streets learns to read people like books, especially predators. That night, Daniel couldn't leave the child alone. He brought him to his tiny rented room. There, after a long silence, the boy finally spoke his name. "My name is Joel." Daniel listened as Joel explained how he had been sleeping under the bridge the night Daniel's daughter disappeared. "I saw her running," he whispered, voice cracking. "I yelled for help, but nobody heard me." Daniel placed a shaking hand on Joel's shoulder. "But I hear you now. And your voice matters more than you know." But outside, in the darkness, hidden behind the flickering streetlight, a tall figure watched them from a distance. Smoke drifted from his cigarette, curling in the night. His eyes carried a cold rage, the kind only hunters have when their prey slips from their grasp. Daniel and Joel didn't know it, but the killer wasn't finished. The next morning, they went to the police station. Joel gave his statement, described the man he saw, the voice, the jacket, the smell of cigarettes. But the officer laughed. "A homeless boy? Seriously?" Daniel felt the blow like a punch to his chest. Once again, he and his daughter were invisible. And that was the moment Daniel made a decision. If no one would find the killer, he would. He got Joel to help describe every detail. Together they made a sketch. Daniel visited the alleys and corners where police never went. He searched shelters, abandoned buildings, old yards, any place a man with a shadowed past might hide. Joel stayed close by his side, both because he trusted Daniel, and because deep inside, he feared if he let go, something terrible would happen to them both. One night, near the old railway yard, Joel suddenly stopped breathing. He grabbed Daniel's sleeve with both shaking hands. "It's him," the boy whispered. "He's here." The darkness around them felt alive as footsteps echoed closer. A tall figure emerged, black jacket, something metallic in his hand. His face was half hidden, but his smile, that cold, twisted smile, showed enough. Daniel felt his stomach drop. "Why did you kill my daughter?" The man laughed. A sound so icy it felt like the air around them froze. "Because she screamed." Those 3 words tore through Daniel like a blade. Joel clung to him, terrified. The man stepped closer, 1 step at a time, the kind of steps that belong to someone who enjoys the fear he creates. Daniel thought they were both going to die that night. But suddenly, police flashlights burst through the darkness. Someone from a nearby warehouse had heard the shouting and called 911. The killer ran, disappearing into the shadows like a ghost. Daniel was detained for questioning, but Joel's statement had done something no one expected. It shook the entire police department. That man wasn't just a random criminal. He was a serial attacker the authorities had quietly been trying to track for months. For 2 long weeks, Daniel and Joel helped investigators. Joel remembered details no adult could. Daniel followed every lead, every hint, every shadow. Until one cold night, the killer was finally caught. And he was found right under the bridge where Joel used to sleep, as if fate itself circled back to finish the story. When Daniel watched the police car drive away with the man who had destroyed his life, tears filled his eyes. Not of pain, but release. He turned to Joel, the homeless boy who had given him truth, hope, and courage. "You gave my daughter a voice," Daniel whispered, "and you saved me." Joel, for the first time, smiled softly. "Sir, can I stay with you now? I don't want to be alone again." Daniel pulled him tightly into his arms. "You're not alone anymore, son. You have a home now." And in that moment, one grieving man found a new child, and one abandoned boy finally found a family. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and comment, and make sure to subscribe for more emotional and inspiring real-life stories we bring for you every day.